delivery truck, and the delivery truck backed into her telephone pole, and they're there now trying to restore service. I think the incident happened a couple days ago. Okay, with that, we're at time for our invocation. I'll call on Miss Barbara Bowie, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Let us pray. Thank you, Father, for allowing us the privilege to pray. Thank you for this gathering, even though we're not face to face. Lord, we ask you to give us clarity as we thank you for the ability to serve and the privilege to serve.
Yes, Jesus.
We ask that as we embark upon a new school year, that you lead all of those who need leading, Jesus. We ask that our teachers, all of our staff, all of our leaders, and especially our students, give them what they need, Lord. We realize that for all of us it's different, but you can make it possible for us to get through it even though it's a different type of year. Lord, we pray for the leaders of this country, starting with our local leaders. We pray that they will make decisions that will keep us healthy, that will keep us safe, and that will keep us moving in the way that you would have us go. Lord, once again, we ask you for a special blessing on Hope County Schools, the entire Hope County School family. In this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Brings us down to the chairman's report, and I know we're all anxiously awaiting the start of another school year. And Dr. Williamson, would you like to give us a little update?
We are working on getting him unmuted at this time, Mr. Richards. If you'll just give us one moment.
Hello?
Mr. Richards?
Yes.
We're working on getting him unmuted at this time. If you'll give us just one moment.
You're working on getting him online?
Unmuted. Yes, sir.
Unmuted, okay. I did talk to him by phone, so he knows I'm presiding.
All right, good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Great. Hope everybody's doing well. And you're right, these are unprecedented times, but there's still times that we have to live in, so we have to just do the best that we can do. I do want to thank you, Mr. Richard, for giving me an opportunity. I want to share with you the opening at San Hope Early College High School. This is day 4 of face-to-face students, and then our first day back yesterday with teachers. Let me ask Jody and Deb, Shannon, anyone, talk to us briefly about San Hope opening.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good. On last Wednesday, we started our first face-to-face instruction or in-person instruction with our students at San Hope. It went very well. They have the health and safety protocols in place at San Hope, social distancing, and all of that. So we are very proud of everything that has gone on at San Hope so far. We continuously to go out just to monitor, to ensure all those things are continuously being enforced and that they are in place for the staff as well as students. So it has been a great opening, even with the virtual online learning. I've been in sessions in classrooms where the students were online. That's going very well, and the instruction going on in terms of that in-person instruction. So it's going very well at San Hope.
And those first few days, the first couple of days of class at San Hope, we got some excellent news coverage, and we shared that out. And the wonderful thing about that was it allowed parents in the community to get another look inside the school with students and teachers actually in the building. So they were able to see what that looks like before all of our other schools opened. So that went really great. And we also got to hear from some students as well.
Anyone else?
I would like to also commend San Hope College High School staff and for really working through those safety protocols and procedures, sure that all members, including parents, were aware of what it was like. Buses and car riders have gone very smoothly. Temperature checks are in place at the entrances for students and staff. Students seem to be happy to be back, real willing to comply with the one-way hallways and wearing masks, and I think they're just glad to be back. So we commend the staff there for leading the way and being one of the first to reopen for us in Hope County.
And then I want to say to the board, a lot of parents have said to me that they appreciate the opportunity of having a real choice. Over 50% of our parents did select face-to-face, and they appreciate that opportunity. So thank you. We're excited, and we're going to continue to do everything possible to keep everyone safe. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Richard.
Thank you, Dr. Williamson. Anyone else? I'd like to thank Jody for just a wonderful article that hopefully will be in the News Journal this week concerning the opening of school. Well done, Jody.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, that brings us down to approval of agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Richard,
Yes.
I move that we approve the agenda for August 11th, 2020.
Thank you, Rosa.
Second.
Thank you, Della. I'll do a roll call as requested by Carolyn. Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Irish? She's not on yet. And Hank is aye. Motion approved. That brings us down to Spotlight on Success, and I'll turn everything over to our superintendent, Dr. Williamson.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair and members. We do have 3 items on the Spotlight on Success for this month. One, we just want to acknowledge the team that worked on the remote learning plan. They did an outstanding job. And any team member want to say anything about the plan?
I think I
If
can.
not, then the same holds true for the reentry plan. Team that worked on that, 2 very powerful documents that really help our parents and everyone to be informed of what it means to be in Plan B for our school system. And then item number 3 is our summer workers. In the past, we've always had a luncheon to recognize those folks working in our buildings during the summer, and we just acknowledge their work and appreciate all that they have done. I do want to identify a group of summer workers that's really made a difference in helping us to have our buildings ready. Roger?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Board members, I have Gary Brigman here this morning. Several weeks ago, we started the task of applying decals, floor decals in all our buildings, all 14 schools, in a pretty tight timeline. We're working with Paris Signs. They're doing a really good job, quality job with those signage. It's social distancing is most of the for the floor decals. That's a massive undertaking at each school. We had close to over almost 3,000 total signs, and of that about 2,000 for floors. Gary Brigman put together a group of our coaches who are paid an extra month, a couple extra months for summer work, camps, practices, all-season workouts. Of course, none of that can take place. So Gary organized that group, and they took this undertaking, and they are finished with that. And I'd like Gary to recognize each name on that team and how that was taken care of. And we certainly appreciate their help.
Yes, Mr. Edwards, the coaches were very glad to get together and work. We had a lot of good fellowship also, had a really good time, and believe it or not, we got the job done. They were Heather Glass, our softball coach, Jamie Coleman, our baseball coach, Derek Bridges, our athletic trainer, Colin McDavid, our soccer coach, Lee Artist, our swim coach, LaToya Ray, our girls basketball coach, and Devon Pickett, our band director. And we all came together, worked real hard for one cause, and, we got all the, signage down on the floor, and hopefully it'll help, schools move at a smoother pace, as we reenter.
Thank you, Gary.
Again, we do appreciate, the Paramount coaches helping out, with that. It really accelerated that whole process. Mr. Chairman and members, that is all that we have on the spotlight for this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. And I'm sure that extra effort and hard work is going to pay dividends, come Monday morning.
Hank,
Yes.
I know we want to expedite, I'm sure we want to expedite this meeting, but I do want to say that I do appreciate the remote learning planning team and the reentry planning team, because even we at Santos Community College don't yet have a plan. We have one, but we don't have it like written and you know, and things like that. So me being the international advisor for students, I mean, I have to write up stuff and say we're working on a plan. So I really appreciate the hard work that these guys have done, and I mean, it's incredible. Thank you. That's what I wanted to say.
Well said.
Thank you, Rosa.
Anything else? Okay, that brings us down to our consent agenda, and board members, I know you've had that before you. Are there any questions? If none, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda items, approve of minutes for July 14th, 2020 and 2020. That's it.
Thank you, Della.
Second, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. Once again, all in favor, Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Irish? Hank? Aye. Motion carried. And that brings us down to action items. We're moving right along. I'm not trying to rush, but we are moving right along. Dr. Williamson, turn everything over to you, please. Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was muted. We do have 4 action items for this morning. Action item number 1, approval of option for remote learning for first 5 days of school. You do have in front of you the opinion letter by Ms. Kirby. The last part of that says, in conclusion, it is my opinion that State Law 2030-3, Section 2.11, as rewritten by State Law 2020-49, does not prohibit remote instruction during the August 17th through the 24th period time. So as a matter of record, this opinion says that the board has the authority to approve those first 5 days of school as remote learning, and that is my request, that you approve that we will use those first 5 days as part of our instruction as remote learning.
Board members, you've heard the request of our superintendent. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Barbara?
I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Thank you. May I have a second?
This is Rosa. I second.
Thank you, Rosa. Once again, roll call. Are there any questions? Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Irish? Hank? Aye. Motion carried.
Great, thank you. Action item number 2, approved purchase of Chromebooks. I want to start with the resolution that was approved by our county commissioners on August the 3rd. In short, the resolution is a funding resolution where they agree to fund our devices, Chromebook devices, to the tune of $2.2+ million over a 4-year period of time, starting in 2020 and in 2023. we needed the resolution to move to the second step in this process, and that is an opinion letter. At this point, let me ask Dr. Ramsey if you'll pick it up from the opinion letter and move us forward before we ask for approval.
Okay, so what will happen in this case, and Carolyn, please, if there's anything that I say in error, please correct me. At this point, we will receive an opinion letter once the resolution has been received by our attorneys, as well as the final contract has the financing contract has been approved by the board. As you know, we are requesting the $2.2 million to be financed, and the financing company that we will be using is American Capital. And do you have those documents that we can pull up, Jody?
Don, all they have is the resolution.
Okay, all right. So the American Capital is the financing company that we will be using, and our contract is with them pending board approval. And so once those two have been approved, then our attorney will write a letter of counsel on our behalf to allow us to enter into that agreement with American Capital.
And the attorney has looked at, Ms. Murkison, the financing agreement from American Capital, correct?
Yes, that's correct. We've been working closely with Dawn on making sure we get all the ducks in a row.
Great, great. Any questions from the board members?
I have a question. The last paragraph where it said something about not an addition to, I'm a little bit puzzled as to if they're going to give us what they regularly give us, then is this an addition or is it not an addition from the commissioners?
Yeah, it is not an addition. It's part of our budget request capital for this year. So clearly, it's that original $600,000+ that we requested. So it's not a second round of funding.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank everyone for their work on this. The Vice Chair members, I am requesting approval of the purchase of our Chromebook financed by American Capital Financial Services, as we have discussed this morning, please.
Board members, you've heard the request of our superintendent. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve purchase of Chromebooks.
Thank you, Della.
Second, this is Rosa.
Thank you, Rosa. Once again, let's have a roll call. Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Irish? Hank? Aye. Motion carried. I'd just like to say how fortunate we are to have the support of our county commissioners. I know I sent an article, I think just last week, to Dr. Williamson, a county up in the very eastern part of our state. They didn't have any Chromebooks, and they were on Plan C. So I don't know what they're going to do, but we're very fortunate, and we certainly thank her.
We are. We did do a presentation. Dr. Register, Dr. Dallas, and Dr. Ramsey were two of the county commissioners. We did share with them our remote learning plan, and we expressed the same thing to them, how appreciative we are that they support this work. And it's really an issue of equity. They have really provided for every student, and that's an amazing opportunity for our students. So I agree, Ms. Richard, that we appreciate them supporting us. Action item number 3 is the policy to lead schools, the PLS update. Let me ask Ms. Murkison if you would speak to this. Our intent this morning is to get you to approve these policies. There is an August 14th deadline for approval, and that's what we're asking for this morning. Ms. Murkison and I talked this morning. Once you approve, she will organize for us, and we will do training with all our administrators. Ms. Murkison?
Sorry, I was on mute. This is the result of new regulations that were issued by the Department of Ed in May, and they're required to be modified by August 14th. The recommendations and the changes you have are made part of the North Carolina School Boards Association policy system that you are a part of. Our office is in the process of reviewing those, and so this may come back to you with some additional modifications for your consideration, but we need to get these changes in place, and then we'll have to work on retraining staff on the new regulations as well.
Great, thank you. Any questions from my board members? If not, Mr. Vice Chair, members, I am requesting approval of our PLS updates as it relates to Title IX and sexual harassment, please.
Board members, once again, you heard the request of our superintendent. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move, this is Barbara, I move that we accept the updates, the PLS updates.
Thank you, Barbara.
Second.
Thank you, Della. Once again, let's do a roll call. Rosa? Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Irish? Hank? Aye. Motion carried.
Hank,
Yes.
can I ask, the discrimination and harassment prohibited by federal laws 1710, 420, and 7230, why are they talking about Boy Scouts? And I guess our lawyer can clarify that.
So
Carolyn?
yes, there's specific legislation that deals with the Boy Scouts, that they are not permitted to discriminate on the basis of gender. And so that has been added to the policy by the School Boards Association. Whether we'll recommend keeping that in your policy is, it may not be necessary. Boy Scouts are independent from Hope County schools.
Right, yeah, I was wondering. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Good job, Carolyn.
Thank you.
So thank you for the approval of those policies. And again, we would work with Ms. Murkison in terms of training for all of our staff. Action item number 4, 2020-2021 budget resolution. Let me ask Ms. Chavis if you'll walk us through that as of, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
As you know, when we begin the school year, we start with a continuing budget resolution because we do not have any information from the state or federal as far as our budgets for the new school year. So as of right now, we have received our initial allocations from the state. So we did our beginning budget resolution for 2021. So in state funds, as of today, we've received, or not received, but they've allocated $63,857,855. And it's broken out in instructional personnel support and supplemental services. Next, our allocation from local is $5,850,000, of which $970,000 will be spent on instructional programs, $4 million on support services, and $786,000 on payments to other funds. In our federal programs, as of to date, we've been budgeted $6,551,312, and below are the various grants that we have submitted our budgets for. In capital, our capital fund appropriation is $6,130,000. Of the capital
funds, the county actually gave us $1,253,000. We had $241,000 that we were receiving from an insurance at the Rockfish project, and also we had $136,000 left over from last year from the Rockfish project that I needed to budget, which totaled to $1,630,000. In child nutrition, we're looking at $5,400,000, $5 million coming from USDA, and $400,000 for other payments to government entities. $150,000 for our child care services. And finally, our restricted revenue, we're looking at $4,791,000, $2,009,000 coming from state allocations such as our Mort 4 program and pre-K, $1,306,000 coming from federal allocations, which is our JROTC and other programs, and then $225,000 coming from local, which is usually our indirect costs. We have $50,000 appropriated. We say appropriated fund balance, but it was the APN money that we had left over from the previous school year. And then at the bottom is our transfer appropriations, which just allows us to transfer between functions and sub-functions until the next board meeting when you approve those adjustments. And the adjustments we submit as the state gives us money to you in the budget adjustments each month. Any questions?
One thing I want to share with the board members, the APN money is our military money that we use for after-school tutorials.
That's correct.
So we roll that over and continue that program.
Yes.
And all of our after-school tutorials will be online this year because we'll be cleaning our buildings at the end of the day. Any questions in terms of our budget resolution? If not, Ms. Vice Chair and members, I'm requesting approval of our 2020-2021 budget resolution as was shared by our financial officer, Ms. Chavis, please.
Board members, you've heard the request of our superintendent. May I have a motion, please?
Hank, I move that we approve our 2020-2021 budget resolution as stated by our finance officer, Juanita Chavis.
Thank you, Rosa.
Second.
Thank you, Della. Once again, roll call, please. Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Irish? Hank, aye. Motion
Mr.
carried.
Richards.
Yes.
Mr. Richards, can you hear
Good.
me?
You're online?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Would you like to, are you up to date on the budget resolution? Would you like to vote on that?
Yes, I voted on that. You didn't hear me though. That's
I'm
what
sorry.
I was hearing since you're here.
Okay, Carolina,
Yeah.
we had a unanimous decision on that then, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair and members, that concludes our action items for this morning.
Very good. Irish, I'm glad you're back with us. Hope things are back to normal at your house. And that brings us down to our administration information items, excuse me. Turn everything over to Dr. Williamson.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Vice Chair and members. Under our information items, I want to start, if you remember last month, we put on hold to return to talk about high school athletics, in fact, all of our athletics, middle and high school, and return to play. So we have Mr. Bridges with us, and he will walk us through that as athletics and still pending for high school and secondary. Mr. Bridges?
Good morning, board members. What you see before you is a preliminary plan for athletics that has been gathered together with guidelines from the High School Athletic Association as well as the National Federation for High School Sport. This presentation is based around what we will be able to do in Hope County schools with pending approval to return to play to make sure that our student athletes are kept safe when they return back to our campus and return back to school. What you see on your screen here is points of emphasis throughout the presentation, general information about COVID-19 and how we're going to protect our staff and students, with big emphasis on the 3 W's. Some information about vulnerable individuals, our online registration that we're switching to this year that has a COVID-19 monitoring tool to help us with documentation, some guidelines, and then some sample sport plans. As we all know, we're dealing with the pandemic of COVID-19, how it spreads, the sneeze, cough, and general talking within 6 feet of someone who may be infected. The droplets can land within the mouth or on the nose and then inhaled into the lungs, and therefore a person is infected. We now understand that there are more and more individuals that are asymptomatic, which means that they do not show visual symptoms, but they are still contagious with the virus. The big thing that we will emphasize is wearing the mask when we're engaging with others with limited social distancing, and making sure that the mask covers the nose and the mouth. One thing we want to emphasize, especially to our athletes, is that if we're feeling sick or showing any type of symptoms, we recommend that they stay home and some type of quarantine and testing, and there will be information that is provided to them that they will have to return to us in regards to their positive or negative testing, and that reporting will then be sent over to the Hope County Health Department, and they will give them guidelines from there. Emphasizing the social distancing with 6 feet apart. If we do not have hand sanitizer that is available to us, we recommend that soap and water for at least 20 seconds with hot water. And then we will design a cleaning and disinfecting schedule to our facilities once we open them back up, specifically our locker rooms that are currently closed. Vulnerable individuals, this information is taken straight from the CDC. Anyone over the age 65 or older, underlying medical conditions such as some type of lung disease, heart conditions, anything that causes them to be immunocompromised or suppressed, severe obesity, diabetes, liver disease, and any type of chronic kidney disease that an individual is currently undergoing dialysis puts them at risk for contracting COVID-19. This slide here, a big emphasis from the High School Athletic Association. They have granted all of our student athletes a temporary extension on their pre-participation physical exams. But within those guidelines, as you can see, any physical that was done prior to March 1st of last year, they emphasized that those student athletes need a new physical before participating. Anyone who received one between March 1st of 2019 and May 1st of 2020, they've been given a temporary extension just for this academic year. And any that were collected or performed after May 1st of 2020, they then go into the normal cycle of being valid for 395 days. The emphasis from us as an athletic staff, although our student athletes have a temporary extension, we encourage our student athletes to get that yearly physical. Although there may not be any visual signs of changes to them, they are growing, and things change from year to year, as we know when we go get physicals, and we want to make sure that they are in the best health before they return to our playing field. If you remember from the points of emphasis, a part of them returning is completing that online registration. So we're taking all of our athletic forms, the physical, the concussion forms, and we're putting all of that online so that we can decrease the amount of paper that has to be printed and paper that has to be passed from one individual to the next. This will also give us an indication if everything is completed. It will help us with compliance and making sure that we are doing what we have to do assigned to us from the High School Athletic Association. This will be available on our athletics website. So what we want to do is encourage our students to go get this information strictly from athletics. Any student that's not registered will not be allowed to participate, and the registration has to start from their parents and making sure that all of those forms are signed by them and the student athlete prior to them coming or participating on that first day. Along with this software, what they have provided us with is a COVID-19 monitoring tool when it comes to attendance. And included in that is attendance within the groups, verifying who has shown up, who has been absent. Within this tool, we can document temperature, the screening questions that our daily screening questions, such as do you have a fever, have you come in contact with someone who has COVID-19, all of those will be done when they come to check in. So temperature check and the screening questionnaire will be done prior to them breaking off into their groups. And it allows us to have a digital record or digital footprint of those symptoms just in case we come across someone who has a positive test, and then we're able to somewhat limit it to who they may have come in contact with while they're on our campuses. According to Governor Cooper's order, on last week he has extended phase 2 for 5 more weeks, which pushes past the anticipated date that the High School Athletic Association had starting on September 1st. So as you can see across the top, the tentative starting date would be September 14th, pending approval from the governor, pending approval from the High School Athletic Association, as well as you all from giving us approval to continue sports. Workout/practice requirements. Again, we're going to emphasize that all of those registration forms be completed. We will not be allowing any type of sharing of water bottles or using our water tanker to kind of prevent spread. We're emphasizing that they bring their own personal water bottle or water jug, personal face mask, whether it be a dry fit covering or even the ones that we tend to wear now with the ear loops, and then making sure that during their check-in, they get that temperature check and that questionnaire screening is complete, which will all be digitally logged, so if we need to go back and pull that information, we have the ability to do so. If we see within the screening process that there's some type of concern, immediately that child will be sent home, and that will also be documented, and the parent will be notified via email. So therefore, we have that digital record that we have done what we needed to do moving forward. For all phases, when it comes to the screening, this does not just include our athletes, this will be our coaches as well, because they will be interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. So when our coaches come in, they will have a check-in, they will have the screening questions as well. Any positive tests or any positive symptoms will be reported to myself, and no participation will be allowed until they are seen and cleared by a medical professional. Again, those clearance forms will be provided to them. That has to be filled out. That's similar to the concussion return to play. They get that signature sign off, and then we will proceed from there with caution. We encourage that any person, coach or athlete who has symptoms within those previous 24 hours not be allowed to come to workouts and contact their healthcare professional as far as their next steps. By contacting us, we also know that we now can contact trace or somewhat figure out who they may have come in contact with, and then let them know what they need to do proceeding forward. Phase 2, when it comes to limitations on gatherings, they put an emphasis on no more than 10 individuals inside and no more than groups of 25 outside. So what the High School Athletic Association has called them is working out in what they call pods, keeping the same student athletes within the same, around the same individuals, which limits that exposure, keeping them at 6 feet distance as much as possible. As you see in the last bullet, the locker rooms will remain closed to our students. They will be required to come dressed and in their workout/practice attire. Once they leave our fields, they proceed to their cars and go home. We encourage that they shower and wash those clothes that they have just been in, so therefore we can somewhat decrease any type of germs that they may have come in contact with before they proceed to the next day. Phase 3 is unknown at the moment because we have not moved into that, so the number of participants or groupings, again, is unknown. The locker rooms are encouraged to be used at this moment. What we will do is once we set up those groups in pods, those will be the groups that are allowed to go in the locker rooms, okay? Emphasizing social distancing when they're inside. When they're not competing, say if a coach is demonstrating a drill or instructing them on what they need to do, they will remain at 6 feet apart from each other with a face covering on. 6 feet apart is basically if you are at arm's length, if my arms are stretched out wide and another individuals are stretched out wide, we have enough distance between each other. And so that is how they will remain until they get back together within their pods and groups. A big emphasis was in reference to equipment. In phase 1, they recommended that no type of equipment be used, especially passing from one person to the next, which requires a lot of things such as a volleyball or a football to be used on a day-to-day basis. Phase 2, they emphasize that they are allowing it to be permissible within the small groups or pods, and they're required to disinfect frequently during the use or before we move that piece of equipment onto another pod. No protective equipment will be used. The emphasis is with football, so no helmets, no pads, etc. No sharing of personal belongings, towels, clothes, shoes, water bottles, and then having hand sanitizer ready and available at any type of practices or contests. Here are some of the examples based on the guidelines. Football, within the small pods and groups, they are allowed to do passes and handoffs while disinfecting the football very frequently. Volleyball, they can now use it again within the pods that they have been assigned. No sharing across pods. Soccer is the same as volleyball. Tennis, no more individual. They can now move on to working in pairs, working on serves and volleys. Any type of passing of a ball has to take place with the racket. We cannot throw the ball from one person to the next. It has to be hit across the net so that therefore it limits that contact. And cross country remains the same. If there's any type of workouts, they must remain at least at a 6 feet distance when they're training. Hydration, in all the phases, again, we're emphasizing that our athletes bring their own water bottles or water jugs. They will not be shared amongst each other. Hydration stations will be available. If you see here in the image, these are the non-contact spouts that we have purchased that will be placed on our coolers. These are similar to a ice machine at a restaurant. You put the cup underneath and you push it, and the water drops out. So it limits the contact from having to press a button or someone directly coming in contact with the cooler to possibly spread germs or other viruses. Here, just 2 links from where this information was pulled from to put together our guidelines. If you see on the right, the High School Athletic Association, they have all 3 of their phases ironed out. They have updated it with phase 2. So just by clicking that link, it simply sends you straight to that PDF document. As a sample plan, this is a satellite view of our practice football field and baseball field. In regards to the spacing and continuing our grouping, we would assign the guys to a certain area. So depending upon what group they're in, that is what corner of the field that will be used. If we need additional room, we have the availability of the outfield of the baseball field, just in case we need additional distancing or we have additional athletes that we need to space out. The idea is to use every inch of field and grass that we have to promote social distancing, but still allow our kids to feel safe and work with each other. This last slide is just a sample volleyball plan that was put together by Coach LaShonda Huey. The big emphasis, the High School Athletic Association only limits practices and workouts to 90 minutes. And so within that 90 minutes, our coaches have to design something where our kids are getting a good workout that practices social distancing, that allows for water breaks, but we're still emphasizing everything when it comes to social distancing and being safe while allowing our kids to have that opportunity to physically condition and get in shape for their sports.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges, and as I say to you quite often, it's the people that we have connected to this work that really make things possible, and thank you, Mr. Bridges, for that. Any questions for Mr. Bridges or Mr. Brigman? I'll return to play. Gary, let me ask.
Okay, Barbara.
Thank you, Hank. My question is, if a student is an athlete studying remotely, is he going to be able to participate, or he or she?
Yes, because they're still in school, they're still enrolled, and we're giving grades every day.
Get instruction every day.
Get instruction every day. So, great question, but the answer is yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to make a comment. Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay.
The guidelines for return to sports picture, that's what I want to see in the future with Lord's help and mercy. The kids out there playing football.
We're going to get there eventually. Gary, let me ask you, what is the conversation from the conference ADs in terms of any possibility, what we think is going to happen for fall sports? Because that's the question everybody's asking. Will we potentially be able to play something in the fall, or are we leaning towards moving everything to the spring?
Well, as Derek said, we're kind of waiting on the governor to move us into a different phase. As long as we stay in phase 2 in the state, we will not participate in any athletics. If he moves to phase 3, he could probably put us on the field and play in some non-contact sports such as tennis, cross country, and possibly golf. And then there's some talk in the fraternity that we adopt the Virginia plan, and the Virginia plan has us all playing sports in the spring with a condensed schedule and being able to have all seasons packed in together in the springtime. It's been studied and talked about. The conference, we'll probably have to make some modifications in our schedule. May not play as many games. And as Maynard, you said, football is very, very important to our budget, to our athletic budget. It's very, very important to a lot of children who are seeking scholarships and have not had an opportunity to really play a game this year. Keep in mind that baseball and the spring stuff has already set out a season. So I'm pretty sure that everything humanly possible is going to be done to play sports this school year.
Any questions to Gary? Let me ask one question. If we move everything to the spring, an athlete can already play on two teams in one sports season, correct?
We have, what we call a dual participation,
Right.
policy that we do have. You may have seen where we have a soccer player playing football, even this past year. But we have a dual participation agreement. Yes, that could happen. The only problem that we could see is the overlap of football into baseball, where a lot of the kids play both sports. And we also use coaches to help us in football and will help us in baseball. So the coaching fraternity that we have at Hoke High might be strained just a little bit in the spring when we start overlapping.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Brigman or Mr. Bridges? Good job bringing us up to speed. Any other questions?
Good job.
If not, that brings us to item number B, Polk County Schools online orientation. Let me ask Dr. Ramseur, Dr. Register, and Dr. Dallas to share our online orientation and what parents are getting and students to ready themselves for next week.
So I'll start. So each school has been provided information to utilize during their orientation. So we've had several orientations up to this point with a great attendance at each school. The principals and some of their administrative team members are leading those conversations. But basically, they are outlining the expectations of the HCS online as far as attendance goes, grading, talking about some of testing expectations, online etiquette, what the schedule will look like. So they're really just outlining it to let parents know what this will look like for them. During the orientations, we've had some great questions from parents, and since this is new for everyone, we anticipate a lot of questions, but they are good questions. Things about, an IEP. If my child has an IEP, will they be served? Services, all sorts of things, and those are all mentioned in the orientation information that's being provided to the parents.
And then I do want to add. Hello? Can you hear me? Yes. I do want to add with the HCS online, what our team did, we actually put together an outline presentation for schools so that we can have consistency as they're talking about those requirements for those families that opt into the HCS online. Also, we have given all schools a handbook that also outlines the expectations for the learning, for that learning program. And so we have asked principals to make sure that they share that with families, just to ensure that they know that the expectations for going to online learning will be the same as if they were in person.
And then I think the final piece, which I think is extremely important, is principals have really been highlighting what does it take for those for students to be successful in that online environment, talking about those parent responsibilities, also talking about those habits that we want students to have, because it really is a very different environment, and our principals have really highlighted that and the importance of that, so that all of our students will be successful no matter which program they attend to.
So this is a schedule for online orientation. It's not an online orientation for everyone.
Correct. It is for our HCS online students. Only those.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Murchison, let me ask you to share briefly, you shared some information with us with online and recording information. Can you share briefly something on that, please?
Sure. So one of the hurdles that, or one of the things that we have to be careful about as a school district is ensuring that we protect confidential information. And that comes in, just general information about students, but also documents that may be shared. one of the tricky spots for districts is in recording online lessons. If you record a class that's online with students, that becomes a student record for each student. And you're going to be required to maintain that for a certain period of time. And then you'll be required to produce it if requested at any period of time when, and I believe it's at least 5 years that it would need to be maintained under your public records guidelines. The tricky part about that is that you don't, for students who have missed the class, who aren't present, it's not a student record for them. So for parents to request that document, it can be, they can only get it if everyone else in the class provides consent that their student record be shared. So it becomes complicated. So we had a great talk yesterday, and I may say this wrong, Deborah. I believe the language you were using was that you'll continue to do instructional videos, which is lessons that are of the teacher providing instruction, but there won't be recording done that includes any students in the class. So we can be sure that we're not creating a record, and parents can be assured that their children will not be recorded.
That's correct.
Any questions for Ms. Murkison? This is a big piece, and there's so many moving parts to online instruction. Any questions for, as it relates to recording lessons and privacy and?
Dr. Wilson.
Yes.
90. Excuse me. Mr. Chair, I have one question to ask. Concerning online orientation, and for an example, I see August the 5th, and I see a 12 p.m., 1 p.m., and 6 p.m. Parents at work, what would you do in a situation like this? How would they be able to get this information if it's online and it's coming in at 1 p.m. during the day or 12 during the day?
Good question.
Yes, ma'am. I do want to add that principals are recording those sessions, so parents will have access to go back and listen to the recording as well as look at the presentation. And then they're also going to have regular orientation, like they normally have open house. And these things will also be mentioned again. So they will have highlights to the HCS online as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for asking that question. You know, that's like having open house at 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
You know,
right.
Parents are not going to come, but they thought about that and have everything covered. But thanks for asking that question. Anything else on online, HCS online?
Yeah, Dr. Register, I had a parent text me yesterday, and she was to her house and show her grandson, because I guess she wasn't there, how to get Zoom, how to go. Of course, I'm going to go there, but how would they be trained? How would they know?
Can you ask your question again, please? You were breaking up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, so I had a grandparent to call me or text me yesterday, and she wanted me to go over how to get in Zoom and everything for her grandson, and he's going to Polk High in the 9th grade. And I wanted to know, first of all, I'm thinking, and I'm not sure what plan they have, but if they have the B plan, then somebody should tell them, you know, when you go home, this is what you do. Somebody should be sort of trying to train them. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am. That was part, and I'm going to let Dr. Ramsord jump in on that. That was part of our communication plan for our reentry and remote learning, that we will offer sessions to help parents and have videos to help parents with Zoom as well as Canvas, and then have videos for our students as well. Because Canvas is a new platform, and so Right, so I know Dr. Ramseur, her department is creating, different videos for parents and students, as well as we do have technical support, for our families. It's a phone number that they can call.
Yeah, I saw that. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
And Ramseur, I don't know if you want to jump in.
Yes, ma'am. So we've also provided both the schools, and we're continuing to update the website with links to how to. So whether they're a video of how to, how can parents get on Canvas using the parent app, how can students get on Canvas, all of those initial trainings. Now, a lot of that will be done in the class environment, but before they can get into the class environment, particularly for our online students, we have to give them how to even get there. And so that's the type of videos and click paths, as we call them, that we're providing.
Okay. So I can give the parent the number that was provided?
Absolutely. Please have them call that number, and one of our discs will answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Rose, I think part of your question and part of the question from the grandparent was that they have not received any message from the high school. We had quite a few ninth graders with that issue, and we did address that on yesterday, Jody, correct?
Correct. So those parents should have received a call last night from the high school with more information about the open house later this week.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
We got some of those same calls, and so we
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
We're operating in real time.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you.
Okay, the next item is our online virtual open house. You do have that scheduled. Anyone want to comment on that? Ms. Pickett, the same thing applies. Those are recorded so parents can see them. Anyone want to make comments on the virtual open house?
Yes, I just want to just reiterate what Dr. Weaver just said. Those will be recorded as well and posted for parents. I can say for this school year, we have put a heightened emphasis on communication. So most of the schools have done several parent sessions throughout the summer just to keep parents abreast on things that's going on, because we know these are unprecedented times. So I'm very pleased with the communication that has been going out and giving parents several opportunities to have actually live sessions online with the principal.
And to Mr. Richards' point earlier, now the open house, that is for all students, regardless of Plan B or HCS Online. And this is often when they meet the teacher a little bit more, kind of a little bit more of a personal approach to their child's grade level, content areas, and teachers.
Anything else?
Yes, may I back up to the online learning? Will there be any training in Seesaw?
Yes, we are.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dawn Russell.
We are doing training in Seesaw equally as we are doing the training in Canvas. And let me clarify, to make sure I understand, are we talking about for parents, or are we specifically talking about for teachers?
What I'm talking about, there are 14 people who are going to be doing online mentoring for that pre-K group. And we were told that they're going to be using Seesaw.
Are you talking specifically about the group with the Rising Stars, Barbara?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we'll have to talk about that, Dawn, since they're considered, they're not a part of the school per se. We'll have to talk about how, what type of access they could have to Seesaw. So that might be something that we have to talk about, Barbara, because at this point that is purchased through like for Hope County School employees. So we'll have to talk through that a little bit more, what we can have that look like.
Thank you.
I noticed on the online orientation, quite a few schools are having orientation in Spanish. I don't see that on the open house schedule. Are they doing Spanish also?
For some of the HCS online orientations, there was actually a translator in the session. So they actually had one session. And so there was interpretation going on at the same time. In some schools that had larger populations decided to do two separate ones, like Donstead tonight is doing
Right.
separate ones. Where like at West, they had their interpreter sitting in on the meeting, interpreting if needed. And that'll be the same thing for open house. A lot of them have interpreters from the transition center or any bilingual staff a part of those sessions so that they can translate as well.
So on the face-to-face orientation, open house, they'll be doing the same thing?
Correct.
Thank you.
Dr. Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
as it relates to Barbara's question about the seesaw training, and when you get with Dr. Ramshaw, will FERPA be a part of that conversation?
It will, and that's where I really want to talk through that. That might not be a platform that they can utilize. We have to talk through that a little bit more in depth, because definitely FERPA, confidentiality, things like that would definitely come.
Okay. All right.
I have a question. Dr. Williamson, how are we going to know that a teacher is online with the kids at all times and not just posting stuff for them to work on? Do we have a way of keeping it when the teachers are online and what they're doing when they're doing it?
We do. Let me ask Dr. Ramshaw if you or anyone else, but we do. We're tracking that information and student attendance, so we'll know that we're in real time.
Right. So one of the things that the tool that we're using for the online is Zoom, just as we are for our board meeting. And we have a Hope County account for Zoom. And so our teachers have signed up for an account under our umbrella. And when a teacher has signed up for an account under our umbrella, we can see every single session, how long the session lasts. We can see each individual that was in the session when they left.
Are all the teachers signing up, or there's some not signing up?
Everyone has a Zoom account. And if they have not, if they're new, if they don't have a Zoom account, we're reaching out to the principals to make sure they get that. So all teachers should have a Zoom account.
Yeah, because I'm just concerned that the students and the parents might not be able to have communication with the teacher when they need it, when they're online.
And remember, I'm sorry. Also, our administrators have access to those Zoom accounts and those what we call our meeting IDs. So as an administrator, just as if they're walking through the halls of a building and walking into classrooms, they can walk into Zoom sessions as well.
Okay.
And Dawn, the Zoom sessions is so that students can sort of collaborate, or you can at least see each other. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Dawn and everyone, share what we learned from Sandhook already in terms of face-to-face and online in the classroom at the same time. How are we going to be able to manage that? Because those are the correct questions that you are asking us, and the advantage of opening Sandhook when we did. We've learned some things already that will prepare us for next week, but we're going to have the ability to manage both systems in a class at the same time, online and face-to-face. Talk about that, please, Dr. Ramshaw.
So in our classrooms, we are putting webcams at every desktop, because what was happening is teachers were using a laptop to try and have a conversation with their online students, but yet still talk with their students who were in their classroom. And so because we do have some classrooms that will have both the physical student in the classroom and the virtual student in a separate setting, we're trying to pull those together so that they can be one unit and the teacher can teach both simultaneously. And the way that we're going to do that is to put a webcam up, and it'll be, let's say, at the front of the room, and it will show the classroom so that the student can feel a part of the classroom. The teacher will also be able to share what's on the smart board. So students will see not only what's on the smart board, but they'll also see the classroom at large. And then finally, teachers, if they walk around the classroom, as most teachers do, we're going to be outfitting them with a headset with a microphone so that students can hear teachers no matter how far away they get from the computer.
Okay.
Anyone else
Thank
on that?
you.
Don, you were breaking up, so we're gonna be able to offer a combination of both. And every teacher will get, headphone set. Any other questions? Great. Finally, on the administration, the monthly financial report, and if you have any questions with that, if you ask Ms. Chambers, she'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you.
Any questions, board members?
Now, Ms. Vice Chair, members, that concludes our administration items for this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Williamson, and that brings us down to our closed session. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Richards,
Yes.
I make a motion, we go into closed session.
Thank you, Iris.
under the General Statute 143 through 18.11.
Thank you, Ms. Pickett. May I have a second, please?
Second, Hank.
Thank you, Della. Once again, at the request of our attorney, we'll go a roll call. Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Iris?
Aye.
Hank? Aye. We'll now be in closed session, and Dr. Ramseur, if you'll do your thing, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. We still have to do the roll call for the vote.
We've got a few people who are not back in. They'll be joining us shortly. It looks like it's just got a little bit of a delay here.
Wait on Bowie and Maynard.
Thomas, please.
Okay.
Okay, I think we need to go back just 1 second, do a roll call to go out, to come back into open session. I did have a motion and a second, and then we got cut off, so, Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Iris?
Aye.
Hank, aye. We're now back in the open session. Dr. Willis, stay again because I think you were cut off also.
Yeah, I got ahead of you there. I'm requesting approval of personnel action items 1, 2, and 3, as was shared by Dr. Thomas, please.
Is that with the addition of Tech 2 Lloyd Oxendine?
Yes, thank you.
Board members, you heard the request of our superintendent. May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Richards, I move that we approve personnel action items 1, 2, and 3 to include Mr. Lloyd Locklear.
Oxendine.
Oxendine, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Rosa. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Della.
Second.
Roll call once again. Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
Della?
Aye.
Irish?
Aye.
Hank? Aye. Motion carried.
Great, thank you.
That brings us down to our superintendent's report. Dr. Williamson?
Great, thank you. Let me start by saying thank you, board members, for your questions this morning. We really appreciate the questions that you are reading, reviewing the information, but your questions are real time and on time, and we appreciate that so much. We'll ask now for our September board meeting. We are back in school face-to-face at the present time. Would you want to consider coming back as a board face-to-face? We would move the meeting to Hoke High, to the media center to give us more space there, or we can stay remote online, whatever your choice is.
What is the wish of the board?
I prefer to go.
Go ahead. I would agree to go back face to face since we have students will be coming to school face to face, and if we have a larger place, as you said, you may move it to the high school. I think it would be perfect. And it could
Rosa?
be an example. Aye.
Rosa?
Aye.
Barbara?
Motion? Aye. If that was a motion, it's aye.
Okay, I think we're all in agreement that we'll go back face-to-face at the high school. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
We've scheduled a year for that already with the high school, anticipating you would want to lead by example, and that's what this would do for you and for the district to lead by example. So thank you.
Let me ask you.
At 6:30, Dr. Williamson?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Williamson, I have one question, please, sir.
Yes.
On Plan B, and of course the object of Plan B and being on the AB schedule is to have half of our students at school at any one time. Well, when we ring the bell and we only have half of our students because the others chose to stay home and go online, is there a possibility of letting those students who want face-to-face go 5 days a week?
We have had that conversation and thought about that, but the preparation time that we need for the online instruction, the planning. That's why we set that fifth day Friday, so that we can do that. Teacher will still be in the building, but in order to really prepare for the online, because that is a tremendous amount of work. Our intent is, as we get into the year, is to bring that conversation, Mr. Richard, up again and see how can we change and do that. So our intent is eventually, yes.
That's an assumption that, you know, half do show up, so.
Right.
Mr. Richards, Mr. Richards, at this point, you're not permitted for students to be 100% in person under the governor's order.
Okay, even though it's only half.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
You can't,
okay,
that would be a plan A for those students, and that's not permissible at the
Right.
present time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murchison. Anything else? And I don't have anything else.
Board members?
I'm sorry, we
Dr.
will.
Williamson,
Yes,
Dr. Williamson, you know, whenever we go back in September to the high school, on Friday, will meals be planned again, or would that still be canceled?
that will be canceled because we can't provide those meals. A ruling by the federal government at this point, we would not be able to use the yellow school buses to deliver those meals. If we chose to use school buses, we would have to pay for that out of local. So and the answer is that we will not on that fifth day provide any meals, but we've already informed parents.
No, Dr. Williamson, I'm
Yes.
not talking about students. I'm talking about the board dinner
The
on
maintenance
Friday.
department luncheon.
I was talking about the board dinner on
Oh,
Friday.
I'm with you. I'm sorry, I'm focused on kids. I'm focused on kids.
No, I
tell you what, we'll work out something that we're.
I missed that.
This Friday, we have the chicken and barbecue, so.
Oh.
And you come pick up a plate. We're serving schools now on a schedule, so we're still providing the chicken and barbecue meal for back to school, and we will provide for them the $50 check, and we also pay for those folks who have completed the staff development. But this Friday is correct one we're going to have, and they can pick it up from where? Here at the board. So Smithfield Chicken and Barbecue on Friday, and then we'll work out the other one. This Friday, we got you covered.
Okay, thank you.
What time?
Dr. Williamson, what did we do about handing out the instructional supplies and the backpacks and so forth?
Great, thank you. That's going to be handled at the school. Principals are reaching out to those families in need. They're going to schedule a time that they can drive through and pick those backpacks up. Dr. Owens ordered those a while back, so we're ready to go with that. We will continue that giveaway.
Wonderful. It'll be done as a drive-through.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's great.
Dr. Williams,
That's great.
Mr. Richard,
Yes.
what time on Friday do we get our lunch?
12 o'clock, quarter to 12. We have it. It'll be ready here at the board.
Okay.
I
Thank
missed the socializing with you guys.
I do too. We'll be back together in September if nothing happens with that. While I'm still talking, I do want to say again and recognize Ms. Merkis and say thank you so much for your accessibility to us, for your work and your support. We had a conversation this morning about employee with Dr. Thomas, myself, and you, able to work that out. We do appreciate that in these trying times. We need advice, and you provide that for us. So we do appreciate that and note that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is all that I have.
I want to say something to Hank. I'm going to miss you, Hank.
Thank you.
Getting foul. My heart was broken.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's time to let someone else enjoy it. I've had a wonderful 16 years under a great superintendent and 4 wonderful board members, and I'm going to step down after about 50, well, a little more than 55 years in Hope County. And
Oh, God.